What does that say right there? That says World Series champions. So does the jersey. And no amount of pouting and complaining to your city councilmen and whining about it will get it erased, Dodgers. Cry more. I'm Weston, and I'm here recapping Game 45 of the regular season. Astros over the Dodgers 7-5. We out-hit them 11-10. And boy, was this a fun game to watch. Was it the prettiest? Definitely not. Was it the best pitched? Certainly not. But was it good for the soul? So good. So good for the soul. Some nights, the Astros have hurt me a lot this past week. They've hurt all of us. This makes up for it a bit. Watching them beat the Dodgers in LA. Oof. Beautiful. And you might say, well, Weston, you're being really cocky right now. This is a meaningless game. It's during the regular season. And I would say the Dodgers did the same thing when they beat us in Minute Maid the 2 games. So I'm going to be just as cocky back as they were to us. And I can already tell there's probably a few Dodgers fans in my comment section. I know these videos get a lot of views. If you can say 30 is a lot, I know that they're going to be down there, salty as ever in the comment section, whining and complaining about bang, bang, knock, knock, buzz, buzz. I don't care. Guess what? It happened. And we won tonight. So, time for me to redeliver the dish back to you, Dodgers fans. Starting with the starting pitching, Framber Valdez went 5 innings. He gave up 5 runs. Not a great night by Framber Valdez, but the positive I take from it is he looked in control. He didn't really get flustered, which is shocking because he gave up 5 runs. And I don't mean that as an insult. Most of the time, Framber, especially last year, he got very flustered very fast. And it wasn't even when he'd give up runs. It would just be base runners. Like, going into the season, I did not want Framber Valdez anywhere near the pitching staff. And this year, I'm defending him even in a 5-run game. Like, this is not the stance I thought I would take on Framber Valdez going into the season. But he struck out 7 and only allowed 1 walk. And if you watched the game very intently like I did, he was hitting the mark with Maldonado and he was painting the corners. There were a few strike calls, and I'm not saying this to complain, I'm not saying this to whine, I promise you this, I'm just stating the fact. There were a lot of 50-50 balls that didn't go his way, and again, I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying there were a lot more strikes, or at least there could have been a lot more strikes if he got some more of the 50-50 balls. He painted the corners beautifully, and even though it was 5 runs, this was a pretty good start by Framber Valdez. If you look, not the result of runs, but if you watch pitch to pitch, and you're just going off of that, this was a good game by him. And the runs were mostly scored, and I'm probably going to lose some of you here. They were sort of bad idea pitches by him and Maldonado, and that is not a criticism of Maldonado. They just weren't the best ideas, if that makes any sense. Catchers probably know what I'm saying with this, and any other position has no idea what I'm saying. Again, 5 runs in 5 innings, not great, not terrible, but if you watched his pitching and his control, it looked very good. Castellanos came in, went an inning, didn't allow any runs. I believe he gave up 2 hits, but he struck the other guys out and got out of his inning just fine through the 6th. Then Cionel Perez came in. He went 2/3 of an inning. He struck out 2 guys. I think it was fun. I think it's funny that the first 2 relievers we brought in recorded 5 outs, and all 5 of the outs were strikeouts. I don't know why I find that funny, but I find it funny and interesting. Mostly because I am a nerd and I count beans all day. Josh James came in after Perez. I don't think he even had given up. He might have given up a base runner at that point, but then we brought in James, and I kind of questioned that, which he got out of that inning fine. I think it was a pop-out in that inning, the 7th. And then in the 8th, he came back and got all 3 balls and playouts. I don't know how to phrase that. They weren't strikeouts. I want to pride myself, if I can, on being completely fair and being... I go with the Thanos strategy, or not strategy, but the Thanos theory. I believe in total balance. I criticize the Astros and our players when they do something wrong, and I also say, hey, good job, you did this good. I've been very critical of Josh James. This was a good game. This was a good outing by Josh James. He did not allow a base runner. That being said, he has had a lot more bad than good this year. Again, this was a good game by Josh James. He should be happy with this game. If he could keep doing this, then he could kind of earn my trust back and earn to be a decent reliever in our bullpen. But this is, at the moment, this is the exception, not the rule. The rule has been multiple runs in any amount of outs pitched or innings pitched for Josh James. Then the top of the ninth happened, which you gotta say, from James and exiting the game to Presley entering, that was a fun. It felt like 3 hours, but it was probably like 30 minutes, maybe 35. That was a very fun period of time in between the two of those. Ryan Presley came in, gave up a leadoff base runner, but it didn't really matter because then Chris Taylor hit into a tailor-made double play. Oh, God, even I hate that pun, but it's staying in here. Very sorry about that, and that I'm keeping that here. Next batter got a double off of Presley, which that concerned me, and then a pass ball let him get to third. But then he struck the guy out, got out of the inning, picked up his 9th save of the year. Presley, he wasn't great tonight, but he got the save and did enough to get out of it safely. And now, the part that I'm very excited to talk about, which is unusual because most of the time I love talking about pitching. The offense, buddy boy. Yuli had an RBI in the first inning, then he had an RBI ground out in the 8th, and to be honest, after the 8th inning, I was like, okay, we only have 2 runs across the plate. If we would have scored a 3rd run this inning, made it a 5-3 game, I might believe a little bit more, but still being 5-2, I think this game is probably over. And then the 9th. Whew! That was fun. That was a fun 9th inning. 5 consecutive base runners, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been 6, but I think it was actually just 5. Correa got a base hit. Diaz got a base hit. Then Reddick with an RBI double. Then Springer with a weird RBI blooper error hit thing. They ruled it an error, so he got it on base. And then Bregman had an RBI to give us the lead. A Bregman RBI that just went over the infielder's head to give us the lead against Kenley Jansen. Where have I seen this before? I know I've seen... It's deja vu. I know I've seen that somewhere. Anyway, then Yuli had a sacrifice fly to make it 7-5. Again, like I mentioned, then Presley came in, got the save, got out of it cleanly, and we've beaten the Dodgers. This game feels good. It feels nice and warm and fuzzy in my soul. I'm very happy about it. And Dodgers fans, you've probably already written so much salt and dropped dislikes on the video. And to you, I say, love ya. Sorry that I bumped the camera there. Anyway, Greinke gets the start tomorrow. It's also at 8 o'clock. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. And as always, go Astros.